Okay. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live on Roundabout Sports. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you so much for being patient with us and tuning in. I am the maestro, Jeremy Karp, and it is a pleasure to be here this Wednesday evening. And we are brought to you by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. It's a beautiful Wednesday evening. Spring has sprung, and we got so much to talk about this evening. And I tell you, folks, I can't wait. So, first off, and thank you. We will be having, believe it or not, Andrew Henson on later because there's a lot to talk about in the world of basketball. And he is the expert, the go to guy to talk about. So I look forward to that. Aaron Wallace, thank you so much for tuning in. Our best wishes go out to Hollywood James Knox. Just know, Hollywood, that we love you so much and stay strong as always. And folks, understand if you have a question or comment, be sure to feel free to submit it below, and we will definitely be making sure to get it on the air. Now, next week, Babs will be on the show, so I definitely look forward to that. It's always great to have Babs on, whether it's Babs or Parker or JM. The team at I-70 Sports Media does such a fantastic job. We do have some breaking news that I want to touch on. So it has been 111 years since a rookie 20 years old or younger has hit safely in their first 12 games. Well, congratulations to Cardinals rookie outfielder Jordan Walker on being able to etch his name in the Major League Baseball history books. In Tuesday's 7-4 victory over the Colorado Rockies, the Cardinals outfielder hit a single just past the infield, and he was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts heading into the ninth. But that ninth inning single puts him at a tie with Eddie Murphy. No, not the actor, but the former Philadelphia Athletic 12, who hit safely in his first 12 games. Meanwhile, in third place, and Walker, of course, already passed him up, was Hall of Famer Ted Williams, who in 1939 with the Red Sox hit safely in his first 9 games. So I'm definitely looking forward to that and seeing what happens beyond. Now, folks, I tell you, the Cardinals, there's some interesting things to talk about when it comes to the St. Louis Cardinals. We are about a week and a half in baseball season, and I take a look at this team and I look at the pros and the cons that this team has to offer. Well, it goes without saying that the first thing I have an issue with is the pitching. Jack Flaherty essentially had, well, he had his best performance of the season so far. He only walked one batter, and but meanwhile, the Cardinals as a whole have been struggling to get quality starts out of their starting rotation. Now, understand that Adam Wainwright is still injured, so he is not back yet. But nevertheless, Miles Michaelis struggled opening day. Stephen Matz struggled. Jake Woodford struggled. Flaherty in his first start, even though the Cardinals won 4-1, the Cardinals were kind of cherry picking the stats here when they were talking about how well he did, when in reality he walked 7 batters. So, and Jordan Hicks almost cost them that game as well. So the bullpen also has a lot left to be desired as well. I look at the team though, and lineup wise, it's a pretty stacked lineup. And I look forward to seeing what they can do going forward into the and it's early still. You know, we take a look so far um into the 2023 seasons so far. And first off, let's also take a look at what the current standings are looking like. So heading into Tuesday evening's late slate of games, the Cardinals are 5-7, which is good for not much because they're second to last in the division. But of course, The Cardinals have played 12 games already. It's only been 12 games. Brewers are 8-4, Pirates are 7-5, Cubs 6-5, Reds 4-6. And then you got the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 11-0 to start the season. They are etching themselves in the record books as well, as far as it's concerned, going with the run differential, should I say. And meanwhile, oh boy. Now, folks, I want to get this going. First off, you know what, Jared? It's nice having Jared on. Let me tell you something. He's going to be one of the cornerstones for what's going to help make PWE Pro Wrestling Epic one of the rising promotions in the Midwest. Their following is already growing. And folks, also be sure on May 6th to check out Dynamo Pro Wrestling down off Cherokee Street in St. Louis, Missouri, for their Cinco de Mayo bash. It is going to be one amazing event. Dynamo does it every year, and it's always a great time. And yes, Jared's absolutely right. The goal is to make PWE the best and number one. And it's something I know a lot of people can say they are truly looking forward to seeing happen anytime soon. And who knows? You never know what the future holds. With all that said, folks, while we wait for Andrew Henson to join us, I want to talk about a little bit more about what's going on in the world of sports. So we're just going to go quickly over some notable sports news over the past week and a half. First off, per sources, Jeff Bezos, the magnate for Amazon, the Amazon CEO, will not be placing a bid on the Washington Commanders. Now, Bezos had some interest in buying the franchise, but he even hired a firm to help with the litigation process. But it is been reported that Commanders owners Dan and Tanya Snyder were blocking him from the bidding. Now, meanwhile, Jeff Bezos actually owns the Washington Post, which published several investigative stories over the past 3 years that led issues for Snyder and the organization. So there's a lot of dirty stuff back there. We also have breaking news that Salt Lake City, Utah has a group that has joined the MLB expansion chase. Now, look, we all know the Oakland Athletics are all but guaranteed. And yeah, I do agree that it's BS to block Jeff Bezos on this. Look, you put a bid for $6 billion. Whoever comes forward with it should give it a shot, you know? That said, I want to go back to the Salt Lake City group. So there's a consortium in Salt Lake City led by the former owner of the Utah Jazz. And in the coming years, he plans to pursue a Major League Baseball franchise. Most notably, it's because of the growth in the population in Salt Lake City, the strong economy, and the growing for wanting more in the mountain region, the Mountain West region in the United States as far as baseball goes. Because the only team in that region currently is the Colorado Rockies. Now, like I said, the A's are most likely going to be moving to Las Vegas. And a lot of people, I mean, let's put it this way. The A's had an attendance a couple days ago of 3,400 fans. Literally 3,400 fans attended, and the stadium can hold well over 45,000. It blows my mind. Jared's saying, who wants to play baseball in the mountain might as well play it on the volcano. It's not so much they want to play it in the mountain region, and there's already enough controversy when it comes to the Rockies and playing at the Rocky Mountain region. But sources have told Jeff Passan of ESPN that MLB does not plan to expand until it figures out the future of Oakland and the Tampa Bay Rays. both of whom have considered moving in regards to their struggles when it comes to getting revenue at home and securing new stadiums. Rob Manfred, everybody's favorite sports commissioner out there, had made it clear last July he would love to get the league to 32 teams. The NHL's up to 32 teams. The NFL and the NHL are 32 teams. I wouldn't be surprised if you see expansion anywhere else. I mean, look, fans have still longed for the Montreal Expos to return. And I don't think an expansion team will happen, but I could very well see the Rays moving. There's some people that even want cities such as St. Louis to have a second team, which I don't know if I don't think St. Louis is going to hold a second baseball team given the success they're having with 4 pro sports teams that already. They have great success with soccer, the XFL, baseball, and hockey. There's not really much of a reason to add another professional baseball team. The sports team St. Louis has are already doing wonders for the economy. As far now, speaking of stadium developments and future plans. So, Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, they advanced the land purchase. There's a committee in Kansas City that has advanced the land purchase at the possible Royal Stadium site. So the Kansas City, according to Fox 4 KC, Kansas City Transportation, Infrastructure, and Operations Committee unanimously passed an ordinance last Wednesday that will allow, that this Wednesday, that will allow Van Trust Real Estate to buy city-owned lots at 12th and Cherry Streets in the East Village for $4.2 million. Now, for those that don't know, the East Village is a section in downtown Kansas City that's been long discussed as the site for a new ballpark for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's long been issues between whether the Chiefs were going to move or the Royals. Now, neither of them were going to move to a new big city, but it was just as far as where the sites of the stadiums would go. With all that being said, where is it? I apologize. Oh, Royals chairman and CEO John Sherman said last month, I think the East Village, quote, it's been talked about. We've probably done the most work on that site. But they've acknowledged that the former Kansas City Star building and in the Northland have been potential sites as well for future landing spot for the Royals. So, and you know what? This is what's interesting. I want to take this point for a second to what Jared said as I check this. Okay. So, Jared brings up the point about so many teams getting a new stadium. Look at the Minnesota Vikings at US Bank Stadium. They are going to be, it is economically draining the city for that stadium, mainly because of the maintenance costs over the next decade. Maintenance costs are going to be about $480 million. But at the same time, fans feel that if in this day and age, if it's a decade or more old, they don't want to be around it. They want a new stadium. Guess what? The Battlehawks play at the Dome at America Center. And while I think there's obviously parts of the Dome that can be upgraded, if anything, the parking situation can be updated at the Dome. I freaking love the stadium. Stadium's great. They just need to fix the turf. And see, this is another thing. See, they won't see revenue for 30 plus years. And Jared says he loves the Dome. Will they bring back St. Louis Browns? It's highly unlikely, but it's very, it's all that option's always there. But I doubt St. Louis ever sees 2 baseball teams again. in the same city, or at least at the same time. And we all know the Cardinals will never go anywhere. So with all that, I say to myself, I look at these stadiums, I look at the Kansas City Royals. They're a team that's constantly struggling. While they have up and coming prospects and a good young core that could help them make a push for the playoffs in a couple years, I mean, the Royals are investing in it the way the Cardinals invest in Ballpark Village. It's not going to be just a stadium. It's supposed to be a whole entertainment complex with businesses and everything. It's supposed to not just liven up the Royal fan base, but liven up the downtown atmosphere of Kansas City, just like it did for St. Louis. So it remains to be seen how it goes, but we'll keep you updated on how progress for that goes along. So with that, folks, it's about time. I want to bring on Andrew Henson. Now, when it comes to basketball, he knows way more than I do. As much as I know about sports, he's the basketball go-to guy. And we were off last week, and we didn't get a chance to talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So it was the LSU victory over Iowa in the NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship game. Now, Angel Reese went up to Caitlin Clark before doing I basically just do it's called the "You Can't See Me" taunt. John Cena and WWE's famous for it. And she did it in response to Caitlin Clark doing it throughout time. And of course, because it's sports media and because it's media, because it's the world we live in, there had to be some big controversy to sell headlines and sell papers and magazines. So here we are. Let's find out once and for all why this is such a damn issue and why, in my opinion, it's not an issue at all. I personally don't think what we're about to discuss should even be a big deal. But maybe Dew has something else on his mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard to Roundabout Sports, Dew Henson.
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Man, I'm tired, but I'm good. Enjoying my
So,
off day.
so let's go back a few weeks now. And we're going to go back to the national championship
hmm
between LSU and Iowa. Now, in the preceding weeks, Caitlin Clark was on top of the basketball world at this point.
So I'll say what so everyone's put Caitlin Clark on this high pedestal. I personally don't have a problem with any of it at all. If I had to pick a problem, I'll tell you in a few. If I had to pick one problem, there would be just one, but I still don't even see a problem with it. So Caitlin Clark was taunting people throughout the entire tournament. She was guarding people away at the 3 point line. She was saying, "You ain't worth my time." She was saying, "You can't see me." But whenever she was doing it, it was subtle. So people didn't think nothing of it. And then when it comes to the national championship game, Angel Reese first said, "Where's my ring?" And then she goes, "You can't see me." So what I feel people have a problem with is the fact that Angel Reese was chasing Caitlin Clark around around the court, looking for her and hunting her down to do these things to her. Do I see a problem with it? No. If you throw out the talk, you got to be able to take the talk.
And that's what I'm getting at. Look, I don't have a problem with anybody trash talking.
Mm-mm.
If you can't back it up, I mean, it's part of the game. You've been in the game. I've been in the game. We're athletes. We know what trash talking's all about.
That's what I was on the floor for.
Exactly. And if you don't back it up, it's called getting humbled.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can back it up, more power to you. But for the media to get out there, and first off, we're just gonna have to say it because it's one of the angles that media wanted to play is the fact that Caitlin Clark is white and Angel Reese is black. So of
Mm-hmm.
course there's gonna be a big controversial issue when once again
Yep.
there didn't need to be. And if there's ever a reason for it not to be an issue, it's race. Who gives a crap what color they are? I mean, look, John Cena's white and he's been doing this for over 20 years.
John Cena came into the WWE game as a rapper. People forget about that.
Exactly. And
oops, my
look,
bad. I don't know nothing about wrestling.
Yep. and heading into the national championship, Caitlin Clark came off 2 straight 40+ point games.
41 back to back.
Yeah. So if anybody had the right to talk trash, it was her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and of course, overwhelming favorites. Everybody was thinking Iowa was going to go at the very least toe-to-toe well against LSU.
Mm-hmm. But
LSU had different plans, though.
In the same breath, I feel a lot of it was Angel Reese felt disrespected. Yeah, cancel culture is a big thing.
Yeah, where do you feel that the cancel culture fits into all this? And yes, for anybody that says cancel culture doesn't exist, it does. It exists. It sucks, and it's
if anybody should be canceled, it should be the first lady. Oh, my bad. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, for saying the first runner-up needs to be attending the White House. No, for decades now, this is a long-standing American tradition. The championship team, if you win the championship in your sport, you go visit the White House and meet the president and the first lady. When the Rams beat the Titans in Super Bowl 34, the Titans didn't go visit George Bush or Bill Clinton. It was the Rams. So look, no matter how hard the effort you put in, at the end of the day, a loss is a loss and a win is a win.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be known as the losers. And the losers should not be attending something for a winner.
A fun fact, though, when it comes to college, when it comes to the White House visit for college athletes, it's every college athlete goes at once. All the winners, they all go at the same time. So what does that look like? You got one losing basketball team there and a bunch of winners?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, because you're going to have the UConn. You're going to have the UConn men. You're going to have the LSU women, but then you're going to have the Iowa women who, look.
And by the way, shout out to the cousins.
Yeah, and it's a shame it's a shame Iowa lost, but at the same time, you get no sympathy prize. This is not a participation trophy. There's no second place trophy that goes in your school's case. It's impressive that you make it to the national championship, but
can I revisit back to what I was going to say, though?
Yeah, go back to it.
So if I'm Angel Reese, I'm just going from, this is how my perspective would work. So if I'm Angel Reese, I would feel disrespected too if I was in her shoes. People don't realize Angel Reese set a NCAA record for most double-doubles in a season this year. She's a walking double-double. And, Angel Reese was arguably one of the best players in the entire country this year. And the only person that's being talked about is Caitlin Clark. So, in a way, she felt disrespected. And then a lot of people were also saying that Caitlin Clark was going to put Angel Reese in her place and destroy LSU, basically.
Well, so, Caitlin Clark even came out to ESPN and said that, and keep in mind, Caitlin Clark had 30 points in the national championship game.
Shot terrible, but yeah, she scored 30.
Shot terrible, but hey, 30 points is 30 points if you get it. The rest of the team didn't do much. But anyway, look at what she said in an interview with ESPN not too long after the game. She said, "I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. I'm just one that competes, and she competed. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. We're all competitive. We show our emotions in different ways." There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I like this. This one I particularly love. She added on in that interview that, quote, men always have had trash talk. You should be able to play with that emotion. That's how every girl should continue to play.
There it is.
So, why is it when a man does trash talking and everything, it's cool and badass, but a woman does it, all of a sudden they're classless or they're being petty or childish?
Because women are held to a higher standard. Truth hurts. Should it be that way? Absolutely not. We're all athletes.
And that's the
Caitlin
problem.
Clark played basketball with men growing up because there was no women's league that was talented enough for her to play in. Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I take a look at the whole thing about and of course, even though Iowa lost, I can't even make this up. But Iowa has still continued to put Caitlin Clark on a high pedestal to the point where a
And
goat
she should be.
in Iowa was named Caitlin Clark.
Mm-mm-mm.
And but back to the whole thing with Angel and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to me, a hand gesture is what dominated this NCAA title game.
Crazy, ain't it?
And at the same time, it also revealed the double standard.
We're not going to talk about how Jasmine Carson came off the bench and went stupid in the first half.
Nope.
We ain't going to talk about that. How she went 7 of 7 from the field.
Yeah.
We ain't going to talk about that. Like, come on now.
Well, and this is the thing. So Caitlin, now a lot of people, so NPR.org was making a issue out of it because they said Caitlin Clark didn't get criticism from it. In fact, she earned praise, including from John Cena himself. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was the one that was getting all the backlash.
That's true.
And
that did happen.
So here, let's get this one. So we're gonna take a look at Jack Johnson. He was the first first black heavyweight boxing champion early in the 20th century. But at a time when a lot of white men were doing defensive styles of boxing and were getting praised for it, when he goes on the defensive and plays a different style, people called him cowardly. So while this race issue shouldn't exist, and that the media shouldn't have to bring it out, the fact is, unfortunately, it does exist.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, you can say it's all about equality, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be putting one color against another, even if it's just to drive up ratings.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot when it comes to equality in sports, and based on the color of skin when it shouldn't be. Sad
Yeah.
reality.
So,
and I got examples on examples, but we ain't gonna go there today.
So when the whole thing happened, and the whole incident happened, and Angel Reese first spoke out. She accused Clark of disrespecting members of her team as well as South Carolina players in a previous game in the tournament.
She did.
Now, her LSU teammate Alexis Morris had criticized the Hawkeyes defense, saying she found the way they guarded South Carolina, quote, disrespectful and vowing to take it personally.
Do you know what they're talking about?
I feel like
I forgot what player it was, but she was at the 3-point line, and since she's a poor 3-point shooter, Caitlin Clark dropped all the way to the paint, and whenever she was at the top of the key, she did this. Like swipe down like you're not worth my time.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of LSU players took offense to, and South Carolina.
And I mean, once again, it comes back in the thing. If you want to be frustrated over it,
Mm-hmm.
look, you're an athlete. What do you expect? Like, and meanwhile, Reese later doubled down. And here we go. Reese also stated that she wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game. I was just in my bag in my moment. She doubled down and tried and apologized and everything. Um, Now, this is something I want your thoughts on, Andrew. So, she, during a press conference, had to mention that she faced personal attacks all year because she didn't fit the narrative.
Who are we talking about?
Angel Reese.
Okay.
She said, quote, I don't fit in the box that all you want me to be in, or that you all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. You told me that all year, but when other people do it, y'all don't say anything. So this is for the girls that look like me, that want to speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. It was bigger than me tonight.
Sad reality, that's how a lot of athletes go through.
Yeah. And I like what Jared brought up here. He says race rivalry will unfortunately exist till the end of time. Social media plays a factor, politics, sports, favoritism, but yet only one issues do bring people together, sports. But it's also a leading cause of race rivalry.
One of, yeah.
It's crazy
One
to
of.
think about too. You know, it's the things that bring you together that also can drift you apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Weird how that works.
And you know how I feel about it. I've talked a lot about that exact topic, a lot,
So,
especially in football.
oh yeah, when Caitlin Clark first, or when Angel Reese first did the hand gesture in response to Caitlin Clark, what was your initial reaction to it?
I said, "Get got you back." I,
Yeah,
because that's me. Like if, because but I fit the same narrative in school. I'm a cross country runner in high school, and I'm talking trash like I still play football.
yeah,
Like, how's it gonna feel when y'all see my dust tonight? Like, that's how I was talking in cross country. You know,
right,
and if you do something crazy, don't give me the opportunity to get you back, because I will.
yeah. Oh, I
That's just how I
agree.
am, though.
So, the good doctor JM Housewright says, as a coach, I had issue with the "you can't see me" and the ring crap at the end of the game. So, Andrew, care to delve into more about that?
So, you know, I think it's just styles. It's a form of showboating. You have the right to not like it. But the way I came up, I I never really. I was told to be humble, not do anything like that. But then I'm not playing my style of game. Now I'm off my game. Now I'm not performing at the top level, because when I can take your soul out of the game, then I can play better. Because now I'm in your head, living rent free. It's all in how you perceive and play the game.
Right.
Because
Um,
sometimes, like for example, Draymond Green.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that. When it comes to what she was doing, it was at the end of the game, and she was chasing her around the floor. Like I said, if you were gonna have any problem with Angel Reese, I feel like that'd be the only problem. But sometimes you gotta get it when you can. And Angel Reese was in foul trouble real early, so she was out of the game a lot until the second half.
I was going to say, and that's another thing we have to take into account here. The the fact that it wasn't even just Angel Reese, it was Caitlin Clark too. A lot both star players were in
There's a
real deep foul
lot of people in
trouble.
foul trouble.
The championship game was very chippy, to say the least. I feel that it's unfortunate because there was a lot of highlight moments that are being overshadowed because of what narratives the media out there wants to really talk about.
When it comes to foul trouble, three of the five starters on LSU had three or more fouls, And on Iowa, 3 or more have 4 fouls and 2 fouled out.
Yeah.
Talk about foul trouble.
And JM has added, it's fine to celebrate and intimidate your opponent in a game. That's part of it, the intimidation factor. But once it's over, to chase a player around is poor sportsmanship and shows poor character.
I can give you that to an extent, you know.
I think it's also depending on what triggers it.
hmm This one's
If
just a
you
very
just, if
emotional game.
I mean, if you and I, for example, are just on the field, we'll say just doing a one-on-one football drill, okay? And you know, you beat me, you know, we would most likely just shake hands, call it a game or something like good game, whatnot.
hmm
But if I come into the game and just start jaw jacking and talking smack on you, and then you shut me down, you're going to have some different attitude after the game
You show right. I'm not gonna stop talking.
because I instigated it. And that's how it is a lot of times. LSU portrayed Caitlin Clark as the instigator coming into this, as the
hmm
person that was high and mighty, that thought that she was going to be, her and her team was going to dominate. And LSU used that as motivation. That's how I perceive it.
Yeah, I can give you that.
I think they perceived it as motivation, and there's nothing wrong with that. And JM also says, I will say this tourney did more for women's hoops than any other event ever. So
Shout
much
out
more
to.
hype than the men's tourney.
Oh my gosh, was it? Sheesh.
Big facts right there. That amazing. 1000% agreed on that. The
I didn't even
men's
watch the
tournament,
men's championship game.
I did not watch them. I will admit, I did not really watch much of the men's championship game.
I watched the end.
I did not have interest. I was actually hoping. I mean, and I'm not just saying this because, my pick was done right at the beginning, basically. But I also, I thought at FAU, in the Final Four, I wanted to see them make the championship. But since they
They almost
didn't,
did.
and they almost did.
That was a buzzer beater.
Oh,
Whoo!
right there,
That was
man.
nasty.
Oh, it hurt my soul. So here's something. So I'm going to take his comment and I'm going to put it into the form of a question for you. So
Uh-oh.
JM says, I may actually watch some WNBA games now and more than UConn women's hoops. Okay. Do you feel, based off what he said, do you feel that there's a strong possibility that how the women's NCAA tournament played out will lead to stronger viewership for the WNBA this year?
I absolutely hope so because I love the WNBA personally. I watch it as much as I can. My favorite player is Candace Parker. You know,
Yep.
and it is what it is. They deserve the views. They deserve to get watched. So, and the more that they get watched, and the more views, the more money they can make. We won't have to. What people don't realize about the WNBA, they don't make a lot of money. So they are forced to go overseas and play so they can make more money so they can financially sustain themselves. Almost every single WNBA player plays overseas.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like it's I get it, but it's not fair. I've
So,
actually said I hope that this tournament makes people realize that women are also exciting to watch. And if you think that game was exciting, phew, look at the WNBA. You'll learn.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, very true. And when you take a look at now, speaking of, we're about
UConn
to
is
get,
crazy.
yeah, UConn, um, and I had KU in the Final Four as well. Um, I didn't expect UConn to go far, believe it or not. So hopefully, and there's Babs tuning in. I know she'll be co-hosting alongside me next week, folks. So everybody be excited, be ready to tune in. I'm looking forward to it. Um, Andrew, JM has a suggestion for you. Have you
I'm
ever
listening.
watched women's college softball?
So I don't like baseball. I don't think I'd like softball, unfortunately. but I've tried to watch it. It's just not my sport, unfortunately.
I will
But yes,
say,
I have tried.
once again, I've, in a weird way,
Like
like,
we have the Cardinals, and I don't even watch baseball. We have the Blues, and I don't watch hockey. So
you know, I've found women's softball actually pretty enjoyable. If for nothing else, I wonder how they can pitch so damn well with the motions on the arm with
that
their
underhand
arms.
is that hurts my shoulder watching it.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm the tear rotator cuff. You know, I one thing I've learned in over the course of my life, sports that may seem boring are actually some of the most skilled, if you will, trickiest sports.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think baseball is boring, but you need some of the toughest reflexes. People think tennis is boring. Once again,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more to it. People think golf's boring, and I'm not even a big golf person, but just knowing how much strength and accuracy you need, you know, and the proper form, like there's a lot that goes into all this, and women's softball is no exception. And I think you can at least agree with me on this. There is something that's just more special about college sports than pro sports. There's something just more special about it. Um, I always felt that as far as the college sports go, you know, seeing the future of teams work their way up. For I should say of players who are going to be the future of these teams.
You
So
got me now.
yeah, I got you now.
Okay, what'd you say? My apologies.
No, you're good. I was saying you. I would think that you at least would agree with me that there's something more special about college sports across all
Hmm.
platforms than pro sports.
Because when you're in college, you're more hungry.
Exactly. Now,
Because if
here's
you
some.
messed up, that's your scholarship for
Well,
the most part.
here's a question.
Yeah,
What
the
about the
portal.
portal?
Yuck.
What do you think the portal's going to do to the landscape of college?
It's like you're going into free agency now, and I don't like it. Then
I
again, also NIL deals also mess with things. So
So I want to backtrack a little bit. Well, first, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We're nearing the 50-minute mark here on Roundabout Sports, presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media. I'm the maestro, Jeremy Carp, alongside basketball expert over here, Dew Henson. And I want to bring this up. You know, we were talking a little bit about WNBA. So
yeah.
before we um, move on, I want to bring this up because you mentioned your favorite star is Candace Parker from the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some breaking news came out about potentially the next biggest star in the history of the WNBA, Brittany Griner. The Associated Press reported today that Brittany Griner is working on a memoir about the unfathomable ordeal of being arrested and imprisoned in Russia. The book, which is currently untitled, will be released next year. Um, For those that don't know, she was arrested and detained at a Moscow airport on drug possession charges in February of 2022, and she was detained for nearly 10 months. Now, this coincided with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and it's interesting because while people were furious with her being detained, they then became furious at when she was released because of the trade, if you will, the prisoner exchange.
Mm. Oh, I'm so bitter that I might be one of the ones that was upset with the trade.
Well, I know for a fact you are one of them, but what's your thought on Brittany Griner continuing to? Do you feel like this is her way of just exploiting more off of what happened to her, or
Probably. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, a law is a law, and she broke the law. You know, she got lucky.
She
Like,
really did get lucky.
you know, because Russia don't play about their laws and you breaking them no matter what. Like the same way LiAngelo Ball got lucky, she also got very lucky.
Well, in this, all of this still ties into what's been going on tonight because if you take a look at what JM was saying, the entire grinder situation shows how race is still an issue in America. And if she
You
were
know,
white, straight, or no issue, would have been made. And bear with me
yup.
just 1 second.
Okay. I'll I'll
Okay,
harp on to
there we
what
go.
you said. So
Go on.
the reason I was actually very stunned that she got so much praise and so much support because she is a lesbian and she is black. And I figured that would be a lot of problems that would come her way because of that. Ooh, you
Yep,
good,
hang
bro?
on.
Okay,
We
you got it.
have, for some reason, something's setting off our smoke alarm, but nobody's cooking anything, so I don't know what it is. So I'm gonna
Batteries.
kind of, could be the battery. Bear with me once.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's go over here.
I'll return. Actually, folks, bear with me. We're gonna go on a quick commercial. I will be back shortly. So,
Mm-hmm.
and all right, folks, we are back at Roundabout Sports. I apologize for the short delay. Andrew, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. But we are back now.
Oops, my fault.
Okay. No, you are good. Okay, so we were talking about before we went to commercial about the situation with Brittany Griner and how JM brought up about how this whole thing still proves there is race issues in America still. Because now, do you feel that if she were a white straight woman, there would be no issue?
So when it happened, a lot of people are like, the reason she's not over here is because she's lesbian and because she's black. If she were white, they would have already got her out by now. However, I do feel the main reason something was made is because she was lesbian and she was black, and also probably top 10 great best WNBA players of all time. If not top 10, she's not far off.
If anything, that might have, though, do you feel helped out the fact that she didn't face a harsher punishment?
I feel like that's the only reason that she's in America right now.
And see, that's where I'm
If
getting
she
at.
was a lesser talented player, I don't think she'd be in America right now.
Well, hell, even if she wasn't a player, she wouldn't be in America right now. It's because of
Or
news
we're gonna talk
status.
about Paul Whalen. We could bring him into it. No, let's not do that. he got stranded over there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's unfortunate that he received a 16-year prison sentence. And yeah, once again, and for those that don't know who Paul Whalen is, he's a former Marine with U.S., British, Irish, and Canadian citizenship. But he was accused of spying while in Russia and was sentenced to 16 years in prison in 2020. Now, when Brittany Griner was um, sent to prison, a lot of people were, and when President Biden brought up that he was going to work on trying to get her out, a lot of people felt that should have worked on getting Paul Whelan out as well.
He tried.
And he did. He did try, and it just, I don't know. I look at
Ultimately, he
this,
went with America's pick.
and that's the thing. Like,
Sad, ain't it?
yeah. And what's funny is that Brittany Griner signed a 1-year deal to stay with the Phoenix Mercury for the 2023 season just a couple months ago. So, we talk about what the point of her writing this book is. In her mind, or according to her, and according to the Associated Press report, Griner is saying this hopes to raise awareness of other Americans who are detained overseas, such as Paul Whelan, who we just mentioned, and Evan Gershkovich, who was arrested in Russia last month and accused of espionage, who's a Wall Street Journal reporter. So Griner is expected to make her return to the court when the new season starts on May 19th with the Phoenix Mercury facing the Los Angeles Sparks, and their home opener is May 21st against the Chicago Sky. So
Let's
one
go.
thing or another, Brittany Griner will be back on the court, one of the greatest in WNBA history. And believe it or not, a lot of people didn't think it would happen.
It was a very slim to none chance that she would make it back.
Very much so. So for our final segment this evening, folks, here on Roundabout Sports, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs. So
Ooh.
the seeds are established, and we know who's facing who. So last night, on April 11th, the two playing games can't get my words out. The two playing games took place. They were the Atlanta Hawks versus the Miami Heat, and the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Los Angeles Lakers. And I tell you, I speak for myself when I say I am stunned by what the results turned out to be. Let's start with the Heat and Hawks, because at one point it looked like the Heat were going to run away with it, and Atlanta was done for.
I don't know what happened to Miami, but they could not catch a rebound to save their life.
I look at the stats for the game, and it just blows my mind because, well, first off, so final score was that the Hawks won 116-105 over the Heat. Trae Young got 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. DeJounte Murray got 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And John Collins got 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Now, when you talk about Miami Heat players getting rebounds, well, while the Hawks had 63 rebounds, the Miami Heat had 39. Now, I want to throw this out there. Clint Capella got 21 rebounds. Are you kidding me? 21 rebounds? Unbelievable.
How many of them were offensive?
You tell me. How many of them ended up on the offensive?
8 offensive rebounds.
Jeez.
I'm telling you, Bam wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah. I was going to say.
And then Kyle Lowry did his best to keep him in the game.
Well, Bam only had 12 points. He had 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 5 for 12 shooting. Obviously, he didn't attempt any threes.
That his game.
No. But let's make this clear. Let's talk about the threes for a second. First off, both teams did atrocious. The Hawks were 10 for 41. The Heat were 11 for 34. That is, and you and I talked about last night, and Steve will have to get in touch with you about that. Hang on. But nevertheless, but as I was saying, I look at the game, the Hawks won the first quarter, they won the second quarter. The Heat pretty well kept the third quarter as their own, but Atlanta maintained a lead. And yeah, like you said, Kyle Lowry, 33 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. You can't get much better than that when trying to keep your team in the game.
That's what a vet should do.
And I look at the next game and because of that now, let's also keep in mind, let's preview the first round matchup between the Hawks and the Celtics for a second. So, given that it goes without saying what team you support most of all, what is the biggest key for the Hawks if they want to beat the Celtics?
Man,
because it's not an easy task. They are the 1 seed for a reason.
How can the Hawks beat the Celtics? Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are going to have to step up. They're probably going to have to average almost 40.
Yeah, see, I don't see that happening.
And in my personal opinion, another way that they could really do a lot better and they have a real chance, bench points. Their bench has to show up.
The bench
Their
really
bench is on par with the Celtics bench and my team. But when it comes to the starting 5, it ain't even close.
Yeah.
And it also depends on how healthy my team is.
I was about to say, it kind of goes without saying as far as what it would take for the Celtics, given how dominant they've been. But defense.
Jaylen Brown is also still out with the messed up hand.
And Jaylen Brown's the number 2 guy for Boston behind Tatum. So, and sometimes people argue that he's the number 1. That's the thing. A lot of people will even. Yeah. So, I look at this matchup. Look, it's going to be a tough hill to climb for Atlanta. But I think also this is a big chance for Trae Young. You're going up against who is being groomed to be this next face of the league when LeBron's out, and that's Jason Tatum. You beat him in the Celtics in the playoffs, you're going to get some eyes on you.
Oh, yeah.
Because as of now, people feel like Trae Young is just a great star who's wasting his career. Kind of like Mike Trout.
Oh, you must not know about
the
drama around Trae Young.
All right,
a lot of people around the league say Trae Young is probably going to be traded this offseason.
And I can totally justify that. I feel Trae Young has no business being on the team because, once again, wasted talents. And knowing the NBA, they're gonna get like 10 first-round picks, a second protected in 2037.
And another thing when it comes to the Celtics, I've been saying this for a long time about the Celtics. Another thing that the Hawks have, if the Hawks can get hot when it comes to shooting the basketball, they also have a really good chance. Because the Celtics, under their new head coach, he is very offensive orientated. He's not as much defensive as they should be. So that's why a lot of times throughout the middle and closer to the end of the season, they started to crumble. And they started losing games that they shouldn't have lost. So if that helps you out with anything.
Yeah, very much so.
So the Hawks have
So
a
now
chance, but you know.
it's not anything's possible in the world of sports. So let's shift gears to a game that we really tuned into last night. And that is the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, look, there were multiple double digit leads, despite the fact that Anthony Edwards had his worst career game, probably.
Look, I'm not gonna let
Um,
you do that to Anthony Edwards. You know why?
no, Anthony Edwards
Because
had a
D'Lo had a
terrible
terrible
game.
game too.
Okay, yeah, D'Lo did too. But let's not take away the fact that Anthony Edwards had arguably the worst game of his career.
He did. It was a pretty bad game.
And like it, and what's not it was a bad game in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was the Lakers won 108, I believe, to 102 in overtime.
Yep.
And I look at the score. First off, talk about look at the minutes here. Kyle Anderson 45 minutes, Taurean Prince 43 minutes, Cat, Carl Anthony Towns 41, Mike Conley 44, Anthony Edwards 43. Then we go to
Hmm.
the Lakers. This is where it blows my mind how this also shows something special about the Lakers. LeBron James 45, Anthony Davis 43, Austin Reeves 39, and then excuse me, Dennis Schroeder 33. After that, nobody in the 30s. D'Angelo Russell 24 minutes. Jared Vanderbilt 22 minutes.
Also,
Rui
Schroeder came off the
Hachimura.
bench.
Yeah, and Schroeder came off the bench and he still played 33 minutes.
He had to. He had the hot hand.
Right. But what I'm saying is, okay, look at this. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, one person on Minnesota was in the 20 minutes off the bench. Everyone else was. Mm.
So we look at the free throw percentage. 91%
Terrible.
Lakers, 93% for the Wolves. 3-point percentage, 32% Lakers, 39% for the Wolves. Uh, Field goal percentage, 41% for the Lakers and 43% the Wolves. Turnovers, 20 each. Points in the paint, though. Do we need to say more, though, when we get to this stat?
Mm-mm.
54 points in the paint for the Lakers, only 26, or I'm sorry, only 36 by the Wolves. That's what won the Lakers the game. It was the ability for guys like AD to step up, for guys like Dennis Schroeder to step up, and it was to control the paint.
Carl
Because look
Anthony
at it.
Towns stopped shooting the ball too. I don't know
When
why.
you look, well, when you look, Minnesota was just going for threes. They weren't,
They were
and
chucking.
that they were chucking the ball. They were airballing it. So while you got a team
I won't
that's
say
it,
airballing. They were just missing.
okay, but even if they're missing, the Lakers are one of the best points in the paint teams in the NBA. You
Mm-hmm.
get in there and you get your twos. Meanwhile, you're the Wolves and you're out there missing threes. So slowly but surely, the Lakers are catching up. It was
Oh yeah.
61-49 at half. It was 60-49 at halftime, and the Wolves were ahead.
Oh yeah.
But let's keep in mind though about the quarter by quarter here. So 28-22, the Wolves outscored the Lakers. Then 32-27, and then this is where it went bad. They got outscored 30-26, 19-12 in the fourth, and then 10-4 in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it was over.
The third quarter is when the momentum shifted.
Yeah. Now, with that, the Lakers will be facing off against the Denver Nuggets.
The
So,
Memphis Grizzlies.
Or I'm sorry, the Memphis Grizzlies. I forgot.
Oh
Uh,
man,
so
I
first
think I
off,
got. I think the Lakers got the Grizzlies in 6.
good evening to our dear friend Herb. God love you, man. One of the best men in the wrestling business, one of the best minds, needs to be in every Hall of Fame imaginable.
Mhm.
You mentioned about the Lakers and the Grizzlies. So you got the Grizzlies in 6. Why?
No, I got the Lakers in
Or
6.
Lakers in 6. Okay. Why do you have the Lakers in 6?
So with Brandon Clark out, that's a body that you don't have to put on LeBron James. And who's gonna guard LeBron? Dylan Brooks. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's gonna guard AD?
Yeah, that's true.
Then you can go at the same breath. Who's gonna guard Jaw?
That's true.
Overall, I think experience is gonna win.
Fair enough. What makes you think though that now what do the Grizzlies need to do to make sure they win the series over the Lakers?
Man, Steven Adams is gonna be the key, if you ask me.
You think so?
I think Steven Adams. Wait, is he playing? Hold up.
That's fine. And while Andrew looks that up, folks, I do want to say you can find Roundabout Sports on Breaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Also, every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time, be sure to tune in to Issues with Wrestling featuring Christopher Miles, everybody's favorite heel referee. Arguably, it is one of the top ranked wrestling podcasts out there on Apple Podcasts. It's within the top 100. So, congratulations to Christopher Miles on that amazing feat. So, Andrew looks like he has pulled up the stat for us. What do we got, buddy?
Steven Adams is out, actually. Brandon Clark
That
is
is
out. So now they had to lean on their starting 5. They have my opinion, the defensive player of the year in Jaren Jackson Jr.
okay.
So he's gonna be busy. They're probably gonna put him on LeBron though. Either that or you're gonna put Dylan Brooks on LeBron. You're gonna put Jaren Jackson Jr. on Anthony Davis, and everyone else is just small. You got Ja Morant, Luke Kennard, and Desmond Bain.
We're
You
gonna
know,
only have to see. Only time will tell what'll happen.
if the Grizzlies can get hot and keep shooting consistently, they'll hang with the Lakers. But if they don't, it's over.
It's
And it'll
over.
be over quick.
It'd be a rough way to end it. I'll tell you that much.
But I feel like Anthony Davis is gonna have a field day.
Okay. Well, with that, folks, it is about that time here on Roundabout Sports. I want to say before we go, first off, I want to say give a big thanks to Andrew for being on this evening. I know we're gonna have him on more in the coming weeks as basketball playoffs are in full swing. Get his insight on everything, and hopefully for him, his Celtics make the run he's been waiting for since 2008. Um, with
I
that,
mean, we made
also,
it to
I
the
didn't.
finals
Well,
2 years ago.
true. The finish, I should say.
You're right.
He's like, yeah, wait a minute. I remember that finals. It was. Anyway, folks, also be sure to advertise us with that on Interstate 70 Sports Media. You can either reach, as of now, while James Knox is taking a hiatus, you can reach out to me on Facebook or Twitter. You can reach out to our Facebook page or our Twitter account. Also, be sure to give us a follow. Like I said, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and so many more places. Anywhere you can find a podcast, just look up Roundabout Sports, and we will be on there. Um, this is also, just for the hell of it, the third week, I believe, where the invite has been extended now to Vince Coleman if he wants to give his side of the story to the interview of when we had his daughter on the show back in January. So just saying, Vince, peace and love. The invite's always out there. And folks, as we close the show, we want to put out the NAMI hotline, the National Association of Mental Illness. The helpline's at 1-800-950-NAMI. It's open 24/7. It's 1-800-950-NAMI. It is the largest grassroots campaign organization on mental awareness in the United States. Also, we always close, we put the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline on. And for that, you just need to dial 988. It's open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand that you are never alone in this world, that there's always somebody out there that you can reach out to that can be those listening ears. There's always, and your voice matters, your opinion matters, and your thoughts matter. And to everybody tuning in, understand that your ears could be put to good use for that person that needs to speak to somebody. So always be sure to give a listen when a friend's in need, or a loved one for that matter. We'll be sure to be back here next week at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And always remember, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp. That's Andrew Henson. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading.